Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Fandom Show. Hope you're having a good night. I know I am. Christmas is on the way, and that's why tonight we're looking at one of my favorite holiday movies of all time, Home Alone. Specifically, how feasible is Home Alone in 2019? So, for those of you who aren't aware, Disney has already greenlit a remake of Home Alone. It's going to be exclusive to their Disney Plus service, and they have in fact already announced some of the cast members. Macaulay Culkin is not involved, and in fact is very publicly against the movie, as are many fans of the original. The synopsis of the new movie, per Disney, is the new flick will depict a couple going after a kid who has pilfered a priceless heirloom, and of course it's safe to assume the kid in question will be home alone. Now, I don't know about you, but personally I think this idea is worse than getting hit in the face with a paint can. Come on, that is not what Home Alone is. The whole idea behind the original movie was that Kevin was accidentally left alone and had to learn to fend for himself. Having the main character being a thief just doesn't do justice to the original. In fact, it kind of ruins it. And that brings us back to the main topic of this video, which is, would Home Alone work in 2019? Before we dig into that, it's important to note that even back in 1990, the filmmakers had to rely on a few convenient coincidences and bending of reality in order to make the plot line work. Let's take a look at a few examples. Kevin gets into a fight with his siblings and gets banished to the attic on the third floor of the house, making him conveniently less visible to the rest of the family. Following said fight, Kevin's father accidentally tosses Kevin's plane ticket in the trash. Now, I'm no expert, but if you had something really important like plane tickets, wouldn't you make sure they were somewhere where they couldn't get food or water on them? Just saying. Next one. The morning after, when they're getting ready to leave on their trip, a neighboring kid happens to come by the house at the exact moment they're counting their children. So the neighboring kid can get accidentally counted as Kevin. Even better, he's conveniently facing the opposite direction from the counter, so that person does not realize that it was not Kevin that she just counted. Next one. There's a power failure the night before, which knocks out all of the phones. This is used to explain why Kevin can't get in touch with his parents and vice versa. And finally, while Kevin's gone, his family is able to make contact with the local police department. They send an officer over to the house to check on Kevin. The officer knocks on the door. There's no response. The officer then radios in. There's nobody home. The house looks secure. Tell them to count their kids again. In real life, a police officer would not do this. They would go inside the house, get Kevin, bring him to the station so he could be cared for by adults until his family was able to come back for him. Fun fact, the actor who played the cop in question was actually the director's father-in-law. But hey, if the film had actually gone like that, we wouldn't have gotten to watch Harry and Marv get tortured now, would we? So 30 years ago even, the filmmakers had to take some shortcuts and bend reality a little bit to make the whole thing work. So to bring it forward into 2019, that challenge would be almost impossible to overcome, if not outright impossible to overcome. Why? Well, this Twitter post sums it up pretty nicely. Generally speaking, I agree with that assessment. Even accounting for a run of bad luck and some convenient happenings, Home Alone is a tough sell in this day and age. For example, let's take this a little further and assume that Kate and Peter McAllister actually left Kevin home alone in December 2019. Let's also assume they took all of their cell phones and tablets with them and that they have no Amazon Echo or Google Smart Assistant in their home. Now, they were a pretty wealthy family, so odds are pretty high they would have actually had this stuff, but we're just going to keep going with this. We also have to assume they would have had a smart TV or a video game console. Otherwise, Kevin could have just hopped on Xbox chat and asked a friend for help. So we're already stretching things here, but let's keep going with it. So Kevin is home alone and there are no devices in the house for him to use to contact his family. Now, the first movie mentioned that the other families on the block were also out of town like his family was. But it also showed that Kevin lived in a suburban area and there were a lot of people home. So it would be a simple matter of Kevin walking a couple of blocks, finding a house, knocking on the door, explaining the situation, saying, hey man, can I borrow a phone or a tablet just to contact my family? Done. Now, the only other possible thing that could cause problems, at least in a traditional sense, would be an ice storm. Now, ice storms aren't unknown, of course, in Chicago winters, as anybody who's lived there can tell you. Now, an ice storm would have probably disrupted mobile communications, but the thing about that is it may have also easily grounded the McAllister's plane on the tarmac. So they might have realized that Kevin was missing before they even left Chicago, and, well, that would totally kill the movie. The other catch with that is that mobile technology's come a long way, and there's no guarantee that even an ice storm would knock out communications completely. There's actually a commercial featuring Macaulay Culkin reenacting scenes from Home Alone. with a Google Home Assistant in the house to demonstrate how some of this would play out. But the bottom line is that because of the technological advances that we've made, you'd really have to stretch the boundaries of believability to almost an absurd level to make Home Alone possible. So I say just leave it alone. Rather than trying to find some convoluted way to try to make it work, let's just let the classics be the classics and move on to other concepts. That ends the video for tonight. In a few days, I'm going to be posting my exclusive video review of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, and then I'll also be doing a year-end review in about a week and a half, and then we're on to 2020. So as always, I love you guys. I thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.